Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Around the Ballpark podcast. It is December the 8th, and we're on episode, if you can believe it, number 55. Very excited to talk tonight. We are going to do some Tampa Bay sports talk. Our guest this evening is Bushman of the Sick podcast, Raise Rewind. And, of course, my co-host is here, Darren Redmond. Darren, awesome to talk to you once again, of course. And so before we dive into the good stuff and get to know Evan a little bit and all that good stuff, Darren, if you have a word from our sponsor.
Attention Palm Bay and really everybody else. Do you have tax troubles? Nashville Tax Solution has got you covered. You know, whether you're behind on your returns, you're facing a lien, or just need expert advice, their team is ready to help. Hear what some of the clients have had to say. Chris Bennett and his team saved me from a financial nightmare. They're knowledgeable, clear, and compassionate. So please don't let taxes stress you out, especially during the holiday season. Come on. Reach out to Nashville Tax Solutions today. Call 615-502-2250 and visit NashvilleTaxSolutions.com or email info@NashvilleTaxSolutions.com. Nashville Tax Solutions, where tax resolution is achieved.
Thank you, Darren. And before we get to introduce our guest, and I know we've had Evan on quite a while back. It was on the recording, and so this here is live, so I'm excited to talk live in real time. I just want to shout out to our listeners as you start jumping on here. Said many months ago, the goal, we were just at a couple hundred subscribers, and we started to grow a little bit. The goal was 1,500 by the end of this year. So as of this morning, we're at about just shy of 1,440, so we're at 1,440. So definitely growing. So it's a testament to everybody watching along. So we are going to hit that goal of 1,500 by the end of the year. So very excited for that. Thank you all so very much for jumping on and sharing with other people. So with that said, again, thank you, Christopher Bennett. And we'll dive into you just a little bit later in the podcast because I want to chat about your experience today. You went to a football game today, so I want to dive into that later. But with that said, the guest of honor is Evan L. Bushman. Thank you so much. And for those that may not have got the opportunity to listen to our original podcast many months ago, I believe Darren was not available that day. If you can just let the listeners know a little bit about yourself, who you are, where you're from, what you do, all that sort of thing.
Sure. Thanks, guys. Thanks for having me on again on the show. I appreciate you having me coming on. Yeah, born and raised in Bradenton, Sarasota. Been a Tampa Bay sports fan pretty much all of my existence. Went to the first Rays baseball game back in '98 when they opened up, the Devil Rays as a team. Been in the podcasting game for a while. I've always said if I may have done it a little bit differently, I could be as famous as Joe Rogan right now, since I've been doing this for a long time too. And had a Fox Sports show a few years ago on one of their affiliates down here as well, and just kind of still been in the game for sports media and just covering all things Tampa Bay.
Awesome. And if anyone wants to find you, I see there at the L Bushman, but any other socials that you want to share for that?
I would say just contact me on Twitter. That's the one I'm most active on. Facebook is kind of weird now. It's all about advertisements and weird political stuff. So if you want to catch me, it's mostly on X or Twitter, however you want to call it nowadays.
Okay, awesome. And thank you. And we're looking forward to this chat. And thank you. I see a few of you more just jumped on. So go ahead, let us know you're here in the chat. Thumbs up. Any questions you might have, Tampa Bay sports related, we'd love to hear it. Unless it's a bad question, then we won't answer it. No. But so just excited to just kind of dive into things. And so we have to start. Because it's the most prevalent thing going on right now. We discussed it a little bit last week on the show with Darren and I, but since then there's been some new developments. So of course I'm talking about the latest with the drama with Tropicana Field, the votes, in terms of the new stadium, things like that. The council vote that recently got some approval this week, and what that means. It doesn't mean 100% that everything is done deal. So if you wouldn't mind, Evan, just kind of touching base on that in terms of what that vote means and what other hurdles may still need to happen before things move forward, that sort of stuff.
Yeah, so the drama continues with the ever-going stadium drama with the Rays and the St. Pete Council. I think we're back in the circle of things, right? Back where we were a few months ago. They approved the bonds last week again, and now we're back to another city vote again. So it's just kind of like, hey, we're doing the same thing over and over. It's almost like, hey, they're doing this because they're all insane and they can't make up their minds. And I think the city council was just butthurt that the Rays picked Steinbrenner Field to go spring training in for 1 year, and they were butthurt that they didn't pick anything in Hillsborough County, which is kind of stupid and petty. And honestly, to me, I've been paying attention to it and not paying attention to it because it's almost like an ongoing soap opera with the two sides. And with the Rays, they seem to be holding back a lot when it comes to, hey, this is how we feel, and this is what kind of information we're going to be giving you guys. And the St. Pete Council is almost like, hey, what have you done for me lately? Why aren't you doing this for me? What's in it for us? We feel slighted about this. It's an ongoing argument with the two sides where it almost seems like whose appendage is bigger when it comes to who's going to win this overall. But I think in the grand scheme of things, whatever side, if it gets resolved, that's fine. If the city, the Pinellas County or the city of St. Pete and their council looks say, hey, we're going to approve it yet again, which they did it before, and it goes through, great. But I think everybody's just to the point where, hey, we want to see shovels in the ground, we want to see digging being done, and we want to see some kind of movement on the site where they were supposed to be doing a while ago. So I think for all of us as Rays fans, we're just like, just get something done and get it done and approved and finalized, and quit bitching and moaning about it, because we're just to a point where, look, if you don't get it done, then have Stu sell the team and have somebody do something with it, or build in St. Pete, build in Tampa, or just move the team out of Florida all right already, because I think we're just kind of all sick and tired of going through this every single year about more stadium drama every single year about, hey, is the Rays going to leave? Oh, the Rays may have gotten the stadium deal done. Oh, now it's not even being done because the St. Pete Council is not doing it anymore because they feel slighted or they feel butthurt about it. So as a Rays fan that has been following this for the past, 15 odd years through, the Montreal St. Pity's shitty plan, like it's kind of tiring after a while. It almost seems like it's a record that keeps going on and on. I think as probably many people, including myself, we're just like, just get it done, man. I mean, to be honest with you, I think if the Rays ownership sees how well maybe Tampa plays up in actual Tampa at Steinbrenner Field and sells out hopefully every single game at the Steinbrenner Field, maybe they'll say, hey, maybe we don't need St. Pete. Maybe we can still look at this as a Tampa side and maybe build a stadium in Tampa, which I think all of us that are Rays fans, maybe hopefully, we all think the Rays should be in is Tampa instead of St. Pete. But I think at the end of the day, we just want to get something done. I think all of us want to get a stadium done, because in the end, if all this gets blown up, not only do us as fans get robbed of something, but it takes away baseball from this area, the whole Tampa Bay area as a whole. And you're just going to lose lots and lots of jobs. You're going to lose lots and lots of revenue coming to a city. Everybody's going to lose, and you're going to lose generations of younger Rays fans that have started to grow and watch this team, including my kids included. Like, they started to watch the team as young kids. So if this team moves to somewhere else because they can't get anything done, then you're going to lose generations of baseball fans that live in this area. So at the end of the day, St. Pete Rays, just get it done.
Yes.
Agree.
Yeah, I think, at this point, yes, obviously we want the team to stay where they're at and all that sort of stuff. But at this point, we'll take any decision, move them to Timbuktu at this point, just make something. It's just constant, because, breaking news, this happened, but it's like, so what? So it's almost like until we actually see them on the field in 2028 in that stadium playing ball that we're going to actually believe that something's actually going to happen. It's almost to that point, unfortunately. And so you get that false hope. You see the article, and then you realize it's really just fluff. Until
I don't think the St. Pete Council gets the gravity of what could happen if the team decides to move, or even if they move to Tampa, or even if they just move out of Florida in general. Is you're going to be taking away a lot of jobs away from people and a lot of revenue. And I think they're, what the St. Pete Council is looking at right now is money, dollars and cents, money. They're worried about the beaches for St. Pete because of the hurricanes. Well, beaches are going to come back. Those are going to come back no matter what. But a baseball team that's going to generate a lot of revenue from you and generate jobs, especially in the city that the Rays want to stay in. They don't want to. They said St. Pete first, not Tampa first. They said St. Pete first. If you had this team uproot and move somewhere else, you're taking that a lot away from you. And just because they hurt your feelings for 1 year because they didn't pick a a site in Hillsborough County, may it be Dunedin or a Philly spring training facility, just for 1 year they're playing up in Tampa. That just it's so petty to me that these council members are just so whiny and power hungry that they just can't put their differences aside and say, okay, you know what, this is a great idea. Let's just get it done, and we can just stop hearing about this every single year.
Yep. Well said.
I'm fired up about this because it's so tiring after a while, Mike. It's just it's every single year we have to hear about this. And I really thought over the summer, once the bonds were approved, once, and then the St. Pete Council approved it, we were done. We were good to go. And then we're saying, okay, we just want to see shovels in the ground. And then this thing happened. It's just like, what are we doing here, folks? Like, are we living in a time warp where we're going back in time, back a year where they couldn't get anything together, and now they're arguing over the stupid little things? I mean, I think they should also look about, hey, we just had 3 hurricanes impact the area. Like, nobody thought the Trop was going to be destroyed because of Hurricane Milton. Nobody thought that. So things just came out of nowhere to kind of screw this up. I just, in the end, you're right, Brian Anderson. Politicians are not going to make things easy. You are correct. And they don't. And that's why this has been such a political game with the Rays and them, and they just feel slighted about the stupidest little things. Just get it done, guys. That way, I don't have to be all fired up about it. We can just talk about the team going forward and how maybe Stu would open up his pocketbook and bring some more free agent players in. So, hopefully that'll happen, but we'll see.
Yes. Now, just a sidebar, and when I go to you, Darren, first on this, I kind of know the answer, but I'm going to ask it anyway. In terms of let's not get it done, just quick sidebar of the hilarious offered proposition of the, I guess, Darren, you call it the golden bat rule. Yes. I got to get your initial, keeping in mind this is a PG-13 show. What was your initial thought when you heard that? Like, we make fun of it and all that kind of stuff, but honest, like, what came out of you when you first, when you were talking to the clouds, what were you saying to yourself?
Me?
Yes.
It's very interesting. I'm a documentarian. I've done 2 documentaries. I love watching Ken Burns stuff. And I just watched his baseball. It was just on MLB Network this week. His baseball documentary, which is beautiful. And when you listen to whether it's Mario Cuomo, whether it's just so many other people who are narrating and speaking, the game is about there's no clock. Well, now there is. There is no – everybody has a chance, and you have to think it's chess. It's chess, and it's outthinking, and it's athleticism, and they're ruining it all. They're ruining all of that right now. I mean, Manfred
clown.
He's a big-time clown, and he watches the Savannah Bananas, and he wants this to be a circus show. And that is great in the minor leagues. It's also great in between innings. Not on the field, please. You're messing up a game, and he's really destroying it. There's no quantifiable evidence that any of this is better. Now, we all know, we're all grown humans here, that you can make stats look like anything in the world. But don't even get me started. It's garbage.
Darren, I agree with you. It's lunacy, as I call it, lunacy, when it comes to making a proposed golden bat. He's the most out-of-touch commissioner that I've ever seen in my life about proposing the dumbest things in the world. And going back to the stadium thing, when is Rob Manfred really stepped in and like come down to St. Pete and Tampa to talk about stadium issues with the Rays and St. Pete? He hasn't at all. And now he's proposing this golden bat rule. This guy is insane, like lunacy and insane, all rolled up into one.
Absolutely. I mean, he's the same idiot who last year in the playoffs wondered why Tampa did not get full crowds, and he put games on during the week, during the day, when kids are at school and people are at work. He treats the whole organization like garbage to begin with, and he's clueless. He's a clueless individual who's making a lot of money, doesn't care what Darren Redmond thinks, but you know what? He should, because I'm a 59-year-old man that has been going to baseball games since the 70s.
They might as well put in the golden ball rule like they did in the home run derby a few years ago. You know, the golden ball.
yeah.
I think it gets you. Yeah, they could do that too. They're gonna do the golden bat, do the golden ball too, and put that in as well. And the team that hits on the run with the golden ball, they'll get 10 runs.
One thing I do enjoy,
it's just ridiculous
about when these silly rules come up is not so much the actual suggested rule; it's the comments after the crazy, like just to see the hilarious ideas. Why don't we just do this? And why don't we do? I love seeing that stuff. That's always humorous. So, but getting back into the actual things that matter here, and so just a little bit touching base on the 2025 Rays outlook in terms of on the field products. So they're going to actually have a team and they're going to play somewhere. Obviously, we know in Steinbrenner Field in Tampa, we discussed that. But just some things. Obviously, really the only thing that's happened of significance, of course, was Jose Siri going to the New York Mets, which we're Met fans ourselves, so not quite sure where he fits in. Darren and I actually share. We don't even think he's going to be a piece. He might even be moved again.
Moved.
Your initial reaction to that move, and you know, with a team of the direction that they're going in, like if they're actually going to make any kind of move, what moves do you actually see them making based on it's almost impossible to know because we don't, it seems like they're just going to get rid of anyone that's got a salary over like $3 million. But what logistical moves do you think they will be making this offseason for any fans to possibly get excited about?
Honestly, Mike, I don't know. It's kind of a question mark right now. I know the Rays just got a catcher this past week with Danny Jensen. They got him for free agency. Which, I mean, that's a great upgraded catcher. I mean, I think that he's probably one of the best catchers we've had in a long time. He's not a very good hitter. I think he batted 204 last year with the Red Sox or whatever. But, I mean, defensive-wise, he's a great catcher. But more moves to come, I don't know. It's kind of a question mark because of, who's available free agents-wise. There's not a lot. And if they are, they're very, very pricey. Trades, you could possibly trade a few guys on the Rays that came up this past year. I mean, I know Yandy Diaz has been floating around. Jeffrey Springs too is one of those guys. I think Ryan Luttrell is as well. So you can definitely trade a couple of pitchers that you have that could be kind of the odd pieces out in the rotation since they've got a lot of arms coming back for our heavy rotation. But it's kind of a weird thing of what they're going to do. I mean, they need to go out and get some more hitters. I mean, they need to go out and get some power bats and guys that can get on base and guys aren't batting like below 100 or below 150 like a lot of these players that they had this past year. And that was one of the things that hurt us a lot was the batting. Pitching is fine. I mean, they're going to get McClanahan bat. They've solidified what their rotation is going to look like. The bullpen looks pretty good too. It's just the hitting. That's what they need to have is the hitting, and that's one of the things. Who are they going to go out and get? Who are they going to make a trade for? Who's available right now for them to make a trade here and there? So, I think we'll know a lot more when the winter meetings come up too, as well, because that's when a lot of moves get made pre-spring training, and then once we lead up to February, March, we'll know a little bit more. But as of right now, there hasn't been any rumblings about what the Rays are going to do. I mean, I think one of the Rays need to do is kind of find that identity, which they didn't have last year. A lot of injuries last year kind of hurt the Rays, especially rotation wise and also on the positions. But they need to find an identity, and that's one of the things that's really going to solidify this team is finding an identity of what they're going to be doing on the field and bats as well. And what's great about it is we saw Junior Caminero come up. He knocked it out of the park. No pun intended. As soon as he came up, he's made a huge impact on the team and an immediate impact. So I think. If you're going to have this guy be up and be kind of the new face of the franchise, you really got to build around that guy and put pieces around him that's going to be not only benefit him in the starting lineup, but also in the field as well. So, the questions that we all have, hopefully will be getting answered soon, but it's kind of tough to know because we haven't really heard anything. Yeah, we really haven't. I think, and there could be some big pieces moved too, like, obviously a Brandon Lau, they're going to do it. I think they're going to start with whatever they can reduce first and then add. And they always seem to have, and Darren, if you want to jump into this part, but it feels like they have this mentality where, oh, this guy's batting 153 with the Reds, but we'll take him. He'll bat 265 for us and hit 17 home runs. Like they feel like they can turn anybody into that. I think of one guy last year, but we're talking about catchers. I think of Ben Rortvedt, and I just expected him to just hit bombs for days. He just has the build, but just couldn't put it together. I think I remember like an 0 for 37 stretch at some point. And of course, Renee Pinto, not the answer.
So, obviously, last 2 or 3 years, that's been a major hole in their lineup. It's almost like them batting a pitcher. It was pretty much a guaranteed out. So Danny Jensen is definitely a significant upgrade, like you mentioned. But Darren, what are your thoughts just on how because the Rays, their system worked 5 years in a row postseason. But what are your thoughts on 2024 into 2025 in terms of like player development? Are they relying too much on, we've done this before? I feel like we're overreacting a little bit because it is just one down year and they've had so many successful ones. But at some point too, 5 consecutive playoff runs, we're expecting that next level. So where do you kind of see from your perspective, kind of outside the Florida area, the direction that they're going on field wise?
Well, I think they're actually playing with a little bit of house money because they have the built-in excuse about the ballpark, and not that they lucked out. I hate to use that term because I think their marketing is terrible. But let's talk about some of the things that the Rays do really, really well. They establish pitchers, and they're very good with their pitching staff. They started the bullpen by committee, and it worked. And now I don't know if teams are now kind of working around that to get over that. We'll see. But that can still work for this year and even into next year until the new stadium. Also, if the goal is to get into the playoff hunt, you really have to be a bad team not to be in the playoff hunt. Very few teams are out of it by early August, and that's all they need to be. And that's what they're going to try to do this year. Also, they're not going to have to sell a lot of tickets, and they're going to be able to actually maximize the prices of the tickets because of the unique experience of being up close and personal in an intimate setting. That's what they're going to do. Now, if they stick to going after pitchers and kind of reclamation projects there, and I think you hit a home run when you said it, no pun intended, taking that 195 hitter and making them a 245 hitter with 17 home runs, that's who it's going to be. Try to get the good defense, and then they're going to reload a little bit for the players on like the Arenado is a great example with St. Louis. Not that they're going to get him now, but that type of player 2 years from now, who is, he's going from a 290 hitter to a 274 hitter to a 265 hitter. Catch those kind of people on the back end of that level. Wade Boggs tried to do it when he was with the Rays. Fred McGriff, who I love, he's on my Mount Rushmore, by the way, but just for a classy individual, Hall of Famer. Those kind of people, that's who they're going to go after, and hopefully get a good coach in there that'll. If their goal is always going to be to try to make the playoffs and beat the Yankees.
One guy that they could maybe target after that could come maybe as a 1 or 2 deal, and you probably have to throw some money at him, would be Anthony Rizzo.
That's a great call. That's a great call.
Rizzo's now a free agent. The Yankees didn't pick up his option, and he's now a guy that you could throw 2 years, maybe 15 mil at him, and he'd come and play. I mean, I think he's from the Tampa Bay area, so he's coming home to play. So why not throw some money at Rizzo? I mean, he'd be a great DH. He could play some first base here and there, and then you could have some pop in that lineup.
How about this? 2 years, 3 years from now? Yeah, we have Pete Alonso right now signed a 3-year contract. And then he goes home to Tampa 3 years from now.
I mean, I know everybody wants him to come down. He's a hometown
That's
kid.
What I'm saying. He's going to be the big draw. They'll overspend for him.
Yeah.
When he's a little past his prime, but still can fill the seats, still hit the home run. I see that happening.
I would love to, Mark, if I had any, have pen to paper, I would love to. I feel like I would be the guy that would look for position players that are in that AAA level that can't get quite called up because the person in front of them is a young stud that is holding it down. And so that's the guy they're looking at. Oh, we're going to call him up, or we're going to move him to second. We're going to move him to third. Like, I would love to target those individuals. If the money is what they have, the budget, whatnot, that's where I would be focusing is who's in that AAA level that should be a starter at a major position, but can't because the guy in front of them. But what I want to talk about just real quickly before we move on, we talked about the pitching, or you talked about pitching Planahan. I think he's due back mid-year, right? It's like June or so. To me, as a Mets fan, we never got to experience DeGrom, Matt Harvey, Wheeler, Syndergaard, and Steven Matz get to pitch 5 consecutive days in a row. Always one of them was injured. And this entire 2024 season, a little bit of 2023, I'm like, man, if Tampa was able to 5 consecutive days get Rasmussen, Springs, Shane Baz, McClanahan, and one or two others together like that. Savali kind of was he wasn't going to stay for long, but there's one other name's coming out of my head right now, but I would have loved to see that. We just didn't get that opportunity, and who knows? But that was something I'm like, okay, when these all guys are ready, they're really gonna, because when you have a rotation like that, you just don't give up 3 runs and you win the ball game, So
yeah, that's what everybody's kind of hoping for coming into this year. I mean, you have McClanahan coming back, you've got Pepio, you've got Taj Bradley, you got Rasmussen. You could put him in as a spot start for a starter, and then you've got Jeffrey Springs in there too as well. So it's like, they could go in as a 6-man rotation, but you've got so many arms that you could use as trade bait to maybe get somebody over from another team. So I think Darren was right. They are kind of playing with house money with the available arms that they have, and who knows, they could probably sign a big name free agent if they wanted to throw out some money to him. So we'll see.
Yeah, and Taj Bradley, to me, I probably would, if I was, I would probably overpay for him, just because I feel like he hasn't even tapped into as great as he has been. I feel like he's got like a whole nother level that we just haven't seen yet that he can do. Sometimes you see on some of these talent shows and music shows and stuff, they're like, oh, that was good, but it was a little safe for you. You can do so much more. I feel like he's still hasn't tapped into that. So excited for that. I do want to ask kind of both of you. So just going to the NFL route just for a quick few minutes here. So just talking Tampa sports. So Tampa Bay Buccaneers, they're in that division going into today. We're 6-6. Tied with Atlanta, same record. Atlanta held the tiebreaker due to their 2 wins. So Buccaneers did what they had to do today. They beat another bad team and the Raiders 28-13. So still a long way to go the season in terms of and whatnot. Obviously, one team's going to come out of there, so now they're sitting at 7-6. But honestly, are they going to be the team to take that division this year just by default? Or, because realistically getting a playoff win is probably not likely, but it's NFL, anything could happen. So just what are your quick thoughts, recaps of not just today's game, but just overall where Tampa Bay Buccaneers stand this season? Because when you look at the standings, it's kind of funny because you see Tampa Bay in that 4th spot, and then you see the really good teams like Washington and some 2 others, Minnesota, that are seems to be, head and shoulders over Tampa Bay, but because the top 4 seeds, the division winners, and all that kind of stuff. So just your thoughts on Tampa Bay this season and how they're going to finish here.
I think with all the injuries that they've had this past year, I think being at 7-6 is actually really good. I mean, with all the offensive woes, injury-wise, and also the defensive injuries too, I think where they're at is pretty good. I think also too, where they're at, the only real test that they have coming up on the schedule is LA, the Chargers coming up in LA. That's pretty much it. After that, they've got Dallas, and then Carolina, and then they finish out with the Saints at home. So, I mean, it's at this point with the way Atlanta's been playing, it's almost the Bucks' division to lose if they don't really win out from the next 4 games that they have on the schedule. And I think where they're at, I think the only thing that's been kind of holding them back is the offense has been hugely productive. I mean, Baker coming into his 2nd year of this team has just been somewhat amazing. I mean, he should be in the conversation for MVP if he's not in it already. But the only Achilles heel that the defense has been kind of the thing that's been kind of a little bit shaky every single game, and the one thing that you kind of hold your breath on. But I think this game can kind of tell you it's like one part of the team does great, which is the offense, and then the defense has to pick them up, which they did today. So I think once everything clicks and you have that whole team clicking on all cylinders on both sides of the ball, they could be unstoppable going into the playoffs. But as of right now, at 7-6, being number 1 in the division, it's really they hold all the cards going forward because it's just the way Atlanta's been playing, and obviously Carolina and the Saints aren't really a threat to those 2 teams. But as of right now, if the Bucks can just turn it loose and keep playing the way they're playing, but just pick it up a little bit more, the offense did great the first half. In the second half, they just kind of, I don't know where they went. They were just so inconsistent. They could win the division. I think it's their one to lose. They just got to be able to close out the rest of the weeks.
Yep, and those that might forget that they hold the sole victory or the sole loss that Detroit has this season. So we've seen how good they can be, and I really don't feel like that was necessarily a down game for Detroit. I just feel like Tampa was just really on it that particular game. So, and you mentioned Carolina. I'm actually a Carolina Panthers fan. So even though they're sitting there as bad as they're looking, just feel like they've been playing some really good teams these last 3 games.
They were giving Philly a pretty good fight today. I
the last 3 games they've played very well. Don't sleep on them.
The Panthers are, I think, next year they're going to be going in the right direction. I think benching Bryce Young kind of maybe lit a fire under him, and he's kind of slowly developing. I know, it's the in the NFL is if you're not winning right away, then you're a bust. But I think this kid is slowly developing into maybe a starter in this league. I mean, he's kind of look what CJ Stroud is. I mean, CJ Stroud had a huge first year, and now he's kind of having that sophomore slump in Houston a little bit. So I think Bryce Young is starting to get the game, and he's starting to be that leader for the team. And yeah, you're right, Darren. The past 3 games, the Panthers have been getting everybody a pain in the butt. So I think the Panthers might be a team that's going to be slowly getting it together. And they make some more moves in the offseason, they could be really good next season. But yeah, with the Bucks, it's go time for the Bucks. It's playoff time. Let's do this.
I'm a big Baker Mayfield fan. I have been from the jump. I felt that he was treated horribly by some of his former teams. He was set up to lose with Cleveland because he, for some reason, I mentioned this last week, inherited some stink.
Everybody fails in Cleveland.
Yeah, true. But then he also got sort of that stink. Bushman, I'd love to hear this from you. From Menzel. Like people were looking at Menzel and Baker as the same person, and they're not. And because they played the same kind of ball in college. But Baker's doing great. No, let me tell you something. You get to the playoffs, you're not going to want to play the Bucks.
Yeah, you're right.
You're not going to want to play the Bucks. And you look at this thing, and I just want to double check. Kirk Cousins in the last 5 games has no touchdowns and 8 interceptions.
You are correct.
So, I mean, I love, as you know, Mike, I love baseball, but I played college football and I coached football in college. So that's my skill set there. And I'm looking at a team fading, and Tampa's on the come. I mean, they really are. So don't sleep on the Bucks.
It's funny how backups that were thrown away as trash, like the Sam Darnolds of the world and the Baker Mayfields of the world, have now kind of turned their careers around. I mean, look at Sam Darnold today throwing, was it 5 or 6 touchdowns? Yeah,
and moving in the pocket.
And Cousins going against his former team just did nothing, a whole lot of nothing today. And Sam Darnold just throwing up 6 TDs against the Atlanta Falcons. It's crazy how, you go to one system, you could do horribly bad, but if you go to something new that's really tailored around you, you have better coaching, you could be a superstar yet again.
Coaching matters so much.
Coaching does matter. Yep, it does.
Yep. And, just staying on the NFL just for a quick moment, Darren, I'd like to get your thoughts on this. So do you ever sit there, I forget which game it was last week, but where, and a lot of it's the prevent defense and whatnot, but you watch a game, maybe it's 17-14 going in with 5 minutes left in the game. And all of a sudden it's like 17-yard pass, 16-yard pass. All of a sudden that 5 minutes on the clock feels like an eternity. And you're looking at it, you're like, where was this the entire game? And a lot of it is the prevent defense and whatnot. But and I really wish I could remember what game it was. Actually, I think it might have been Lions Packers on Thursday night, if I'm not mistaken. From when that, but it's always funny. You're talking to a youth or a child about how much time's left in the game, and they get their hopes up because that clock's ticking. But really, that last 7 minutes could be 27 minutes or 37 minutes. But I do love that the game's not over till the end. But just what are your thoughts on why we see so much scoring with so little time left in the game versus that first 2.5, 3 quarters where it's it's a chess match back and forth.
Well, there's a variety of reasons why that's, and there's you start to see things, you start to see maybe different players getting injured or broken down or a little tired. I'll give you a great example. If you watch the Bills game against the Rams, it's a great game, and the Bills only got into the game because they started to do a hurry up offense. I mean, there's just different things that you do, and then there's some tendencies, and then also there's things you hold back. I used to call, for example, different blocking assignments late into a game. I was an offensive line coach, and that I didn't do the whole game. And sometimes it'll work, sometimes it went different. Especially if you're behind, it is the prevent defense. It's so many other things. If you've been running, for example, go routes the whole game, and you start to do, quick posts or slant patterns or some outs, some button hooks, and all of a sudden you're hitting them. Why? Because the defensive players in the defense is scheming for what they think you're going to continue to do. So there's a variety of reasons why that is.
Yeah, for sure. And and then I do want to not to dive deep too much into this, but we're talking Tampa sports, and so I personally have not been to an NHL game. So I'm not sure, Evan, if you have been able to attend a Tampa Bay Lightning game at the Amalie Arena.
Not yet. Not yet. Not this year. Not this year. No.
Not this year, but you have been in the past.
I have been in the past. Yeah.
And just a quick, because we like to talk about different ballpark stadiums. Just a quick, minute synopsis of it's Amalie Arena, right? I'm saying right.
Amalie,
just with that
correct.
experience, like if you haven't been to that arena, whether it be for an NHL game, for a concert, whatever, just some quick little, because we haven't dived into that stadium too much. I'd like to hear just a little bit about that because I'm looking forward to some, hopefully someday seeing something.
It is probably one of the best arenas to go to a concert. I've seen many concerts there, may it be a comedy show or a rock concert there. I've been there plenty of times during those. And then when it comes to an actual Tampa Bay Lightning game, like this might sound corny, it gets electric in there, no pun intended. I've been there for the NHL playoffs before. I've been there sitting in club seats. I've been sitting there like front row seats, nosebleeds. It's probably one of the best places to watch a sporting event because just the way, not only that, the way the Lightning sell out pretty much every single game that they play in there, but just the way the Lightning put on a sporting event spectacle, man. It's like a show in there. And I think that's what people enjoy going to Amalie Arena to see the Lightning is you're getting entertainment, not only sports, but sports entertainment when you go see the Lightning play hockey there. It's a great place to go. It's a great venue to go see a sports or any kind of, concert or event there. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, for sure. And NHL, if you're a Florida fan of NHL, you've got two really good teams these last couple of years. And you mentioned rock concerts. I've been to Amalie once, but it was for Shinedown. We're big Shinedown fans here at our household, and so got to see them several times. And that was my one time that I've been to Amalie, but not for a Lightning game. So, but Darren, I know you're a little bit more versed in NHL than the two of us probably are. But your which NHL stadium which NHL stadiums have you been to on your end?
In NHL, yeah. I've been to let's see, the SAP Center for San Jose Sharks. I've been to LA. I've been to TD Gardens of Boston. I've been to, of course, MSG. I've been to the National Mausoleum, and I said mausoleum as a joke, the Coliseum. But being a Ranger fan, we like to poke fun at the Islanders. So I've been to quite a few. I've been in front of some others, but to attend a game, I've been to those. And Bushman hit it on the head. I mean, you've been there. Tampa is an electric place. First off, they have a wonderful hockey team. They set the tone, to use a Shorzy reference. Whenever they play, they set the tone. You find yourself having to react to what they're doing, whether it's hitting the body, whether it's dump and run, whether they do so many, and the fans are knowledgeable. Yeah. See, so, unfortunately, what I'm sort of going on a tangent, gentlemen, but okay. Sometimes you go to games and they want to make it too entertaining with other stuff. Tampa fans know the game. They know what's going on. They know changes that are going to happen. They anticipate timeouts. They just know. They're very smart. And I love being in that. You mentioned it's you feel like your hairs are on the back of your head.
Yeah, and the reason one of the reasons I brought this up too. Now, for those that are not familiar with the Florida area, maybe you're coming to Florida the first time. You're going to do the whole Disney thing or the Universal thing or whatever. You're looking to a game or something like that. I feel, and I could be wrong, I feel like there's a Jaguar fan base, very small. There's a Rays fan base a little bit higher than others. It's not what the media makes it out to be. The media makes it sound like there's 3,000 fans at every Rays game. It's not the case. Marlins, you go to a Marlins game, you're going to watch the other team that's playing the Marlins. But I feel like the Panthers and the Lightning is, you see the sea of blue. You see the majority of the stadium is for that team. And it's not like that a lot. Even one minor league stadium comes to mind where the Cardinals play, actually, in West Palm Beach, or Jupiter, but it's a sea of red. You can't go in there and not see red. It's a minor league park, but so there's diehards. But Tampa Bay Lightning just is that one of those few places in Florida sports where it's a sea of that team, and so I definitely can appreciate that for sure. And one question I want to ask, I wanted to, it's not on my notes here, but I wanted to just quickly dive into a little bit of minor league ball just for a minute, because I have a season ticket holder for a couple of years here in Port St. Lucie. Not anymore because it's a little bit farther away from where I'm at now. But I wanted to start with you, Evan, in terms of your just some experience from any minor league parks you might have been to, whether locally or not, because that's a whole different experience. Obviously, you're not getting anywhere near the same fans and stuff like that, but it's just such a great time. So maybe those listening in either in the Tampa area or just in Florida, that any stadiums you've been to that are must-dos, or just a little bit about the minor league park experience.
So I live pretty much in the heart of the Grapefruit League here in Florida. So I live relatively 15, 20 minutes away from Lecom Park, where the Bradenton Marauders play, where obviously where the Pittsburgh Pirates spring train, and then Ed Smith Stadium, where Baltimore Orioles play, and then about 45 minutes away from where the Tampa Bay Rays play down in Port Charlotte. So I really live relatively close to pretty much each of the stadiums around in the Tampa Bay area. I must say I haven't been to Steinbrenner Field yet. I haven't been up there for a spring training game before, so going into this next year to see the Rays play at Steinbrenner Field is going to be kind of weird and kind of different. But park-wise, where the Phillies play up in Clearwater is actually a really nice ballpark. Is where they spring train is really nice.
It really is.
And, not being a homer, but the Charlotte Sports Park down in Port Charlotte, where the Rays spring train, is actually a really nice park too as well. And I have also been to a couple other ones. I've been to the spring training facility for the Red Sox, which is almost like a mini Fenway Park down in Fort Myers, and also where the Minnesota Twins spring training too as well. So I will say this: the mini Fenway Park down in Fort Myers is actually a really cool spot to go see spring training games as well.
Oh yeah, for sure. And I don't know if you ever got a chance to, one of the places we love, we visited Dunedin to see the Blue Jays. I felt like we were literally watching a game in somebody's backyard. For your view from the seats, you just see homes, and it was unique, to say the least. You didn't feel like you were going. I remember driving. I'm like, stadium over here. Bradenton to me is beautiful. Like, a lot of people have, you think Fenway, but like in Major League Baseball stadiums, Pittsburgh stadiums, like a lot of people have that near the top of their list in terms of. But I remember going to a night game in Bradenton to see the Pirates spring training, and had such a great time. It didn't look great from the outside. I was like, I don't know. And then you get a little closer, and it's just beautiful.
It's kind of in a sketch part of town, but once you get into it, it's actually not that bad. I think what's great about spring training fields is if you're at least near or across the street from a brewery, you're going to be a pretty good spot for a spring training stadium. If you're near like a beer spot that's right across the way.
Yeah, and Darren, anything on your end in terms of experience with minor league parks, or what draws you to that?
Well,
I know you probably have.
As you know, I covered with Fresno Hockey Talk and Fresno Sports Talk. I covered minor league hockey and minor league baseball. So, and then with my career in marketing, I was all over the country. So, I would always go to different minor league parks. I've been to parks that are in city parks, and it looks like just a high school field. I've been to some that are just amazing. And I get chills. Like, for example, there's a park in Bakersfield, California, where the Dodgers used to have their spring training, and you see the names on there: Roy Campanella, to Mike Piazza, and everybody in between. You just get the chills, and it's old. And then you get a park like it's now an A-ball park, unfortunately, since COVID. But Chansey Park in Fresno is the most beautiful minor league park in the country, in my opinion. It seats 11,000 people, and it's now an A-ball park, and it still gets, for an A game, 6,000 people, 5,000 people. And it's just, it's a park that I told you about this, Mike, where they had a run where they were the top minor league ballpark for the Giants when they won the World Series, and then when the Nationals won the World Series, and when Houston won the World Series. It's just unbelievable baseball, and it's beautiful, and it has all the amenities for a minor league stadium. It has more amenities than some major league parks I've been to, including an in-ground pool for parties.
Yeah, that's a really good number. I know the closest to where I'm at is Port St. Lucie, where the Mets have their spring training, and unless it's dollar night, you're getting like 300 to 500 people in attendance. They'll announce like 1,700, but I know better. It's really, but that's okay too, because 300 fans, 400 fans, it's still just a beautiful time, and all the different on-field things. The kids don't know. They don't realize this isn't the major league team.
That's
they're just
fun.
having a blast being on the
Go
field.
have a golden bat there. How about that? Go have a golden bat there.
There was one spot I forgot. I've been to the NFL Combine a couple of times, and every time I go up, it's always wintertime and snowing. But there's Victory Park right across the street from Lucas Oil Stadium, where you can see, and that's a really nice baseball park too. Is Victory Park there?
I would like to see that.
Yeah, it's a nice park.
Yeah.
Now that we're talking about it, another one. Go to up in Rochester, the Rochester Red Wings. They play, and their park is built into the ground, so you actually go down. It's a beautiful park.
Now, where I live is actually I live in Palm Bay, Florida, and I see. Oh, Heather, and you've also seen the Mets play. So Heather actually lives with us here. Well, not with us, but in Palm Bay. And in Palm Bay,
something you want to tell us, Mike?
We had last night our parade, and easily over 20,000 people just on one street. And I know a guy who knows a guy who's actually the mayor of Palm Bay. Just putting this out there. I know you're not on with us right now, Rob, but man, could baseball thrive here in Palm Bay? It really, really could. We had two local radio stations that made the drive from Orlando to Palm Bay last night for the parade, and they said to me, like, I thought Palm Bay was this little village, this little homey village, but didn't realize like how massive we are. I think we're now like number 13 in terms of population in the state of Florida. But minor league baseball, you can't help. Doesn't matter, you're a fan of baseball. Not a lot of people. Oh, the game's too slow for me. Go to a minor league baseball game and tell me you didn't have a good time without telling me you had a good time. So just wanted to share that. So, but
can I throw something in there that has nothing to do with what we're talking about, but
yes,
what we're talking about prompted me into this thought. Have either one of you actually sat near or in a booth with the person doing the official scoring for a minor league or a major league game?
I have.
It's amazing. You want to talk about that a little bit? It's amazing. I mean, there's some real discussion.
So I've been in the press box a few times for the Tampa Bay Rays, and kind of off to the side is they have, actually it's in near like the front of the press box area, they have the people doing that, the actual scoring itself, and it's really interesting. I mean, talk about analytics, man. You have guys that really have to pay attention to the game, that are, they're really doing it and everything. And even the guys there that are there for MLB, .com as well, they're doing the actual scoring too as well. And it amazes me that the type of work that they have to do their job, and it kind of blows my mind just the way that they do their scoring. It's just, I mean, you got the old school guys that still do the pen and paper and the pencil and the sheets, and then you got the guys that are the new upgrade guys that are doing it on their computers. And I mostly enjoy that the guys do the old school way with the old school, paper sheets that are actually scoring with their pencils and everything. And it really blows my mind when they're doing that.
Have you ever had a situation where, and I've seen this happen twice being in the booth, where a manager or a coach of a team called during the game to complain about a score? You know,
I see. I have not seen that.
and it got loud too.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And it loud. He wasn't yelling anything demeaning as much as just passion. How could you do? You know, the guy's like,
That's too
put it on
funny.
speaker. We
That's
all
funny.
heard it.
So I'm going to ask my final question, and Darren, if you have a final one, and I know we're getting late on time, so we'll start wrapping it up. So I'll ask my final question. But and this is legit. I don't know as much as I know about the game. I don't know. So we're in 2024, right? And so we're talking about going back to baseball for just a minute. When we're calling the bullpen, like, are we still using the phone with the you know, what do you call it? Like, I feel like we're behind in technology for the bullpen. You know, if I'm wrong, tell me. But like, what is the procedure now to call to the bullpen? Like, are we still doing, the old school way? Have we made progress over the years with that? I'm legit don't know. I'm curious.
I could say that most minor league parks, it's like an intercom that looks like a phone. You pick it up and you don't dial. You pick it up. There's somebody there.
It's like the bat phone. You just pick it up. Hey,
exactly.
So,
we need Vaughn. We need the righty. We need Vaughn. Boom, and then you just put it down.
And Heather had asked what the bullpen. So bullpen is actually, so in Major League game, you have your starting pitcher that pitches for several innings, and then the bullpen is actually where the reserve pitchers will be. So you typically 7 to 8 pitchers for a team, because the roster has about 25 players. So most teams carry about 7 to 8 people in their bullpen. So these are guys that come in for an inning or two max, usually one inning. They're not used every game, but these are guys that come in when the pitcher is either not performing well, or maybe the starting pitcher's thrown 85, 90 pitches, or in 2024, 30 pitches, God forbid, 30 pitches, take them out of there. I always think back to them taking out Blake Snell with the Rays a couple years ago. Don't get me started.
Let's not talk about that. Let's not talk about that.
Wanted to throw my
ridiculous.
Don't get me started on that.
So we don't have time to all that, but yeah. So that's what the bullpen is. It's basically fresh arms out there, and they're not like a starting pitcher. They're not going to go out there and throw 6-7 innings, but they're going to be a fresh arm, throw an inning, and maybe get some key outs in the key part of the game. So, but Darren, your final question, if you have?
No, it's just, I love this. Let's do this again. Though, how far? Oh yeah, I do got one question. How far do either one of you think that the Buccaneers are going to go? Because I think they're going to the championship game.
I want to say the championship, but I'll say division. I'll say division.
I'll take that.
I'll say division.
Yeah, I think that first round of the playoffs, there's a lot of times it's very common for 3 out of those 4 games for the road team to win. So, but again, Tampa Bay would have a home game. So I could see, I don't know if they'll get past that first week, but it wouldn't be surprising. I agree. I think they could get to that second week and make a run for it, because I do think very highly, as you do, Darren, of Baker Mayfield. But there's really not many games that would be like, oh my God, I can't believe. I've said this before. I would not blink an eye if Kansas City's out the second round. Like, they get the bye and they're out the second round because they haven't, as good as their record shows. It's like having.
They're not that good. They've gotten so lucky this season. It's.
You ever feel though with that conversation? And I know we're gonna end soon, but like, do you ever feel like, oh yeah, you won, but the refs weren't doing this, and the like, I can see us trying to debate with a Kansas City fan. Oh yeah, you're 11-1, but 12-1, but this didn't happen and that didn't happen. But it's true. Like, we're not angry person yelling at clouds. Like,
no,
it's legit. Like, they've won so many games by it's just insane. Like, if you had to pinpoint, I'd love to see a video montage of their game.
The first game against Baltimore, where they won by a toe. They won by a toe, and then last week's game against the Raiders, where the Raiders just basically coughed it up themselves.
They became the Raiders.
Yeah, they became the Raiders. I mean,
it took a last second field goal against. It took last second field goal to beat Carolina. And at that time, Carolina. Now these last few weeks have been a little bit better, but at the time they were just a train wreck. And so, but yeah, so definitely. So I could see them going to the second round, but if they go farther. Really hoping that it's Lions Bills this year. I know we're going to see that this coming weekend. But that's really what I would love to see.
Which is now a much tougher game even for the Lions, who I'm rooting for big because Bills lost today. They need to win this coming week.
Yep.
Yeah. Oh, you said the Bills lost today?
Yeah, they did.
Yeah.
Oh, well.
Okay. Because the other team scored more. That's the only reason.
Against Los Angeles. Yeah, and they're making a little run. I mean, that division,
the
Seattle's
Seahawks are not very good. The Seahawks
Yeah.
are not very good. So, Rams 7-6, they're right there.
Yep. Well, thank you both so much. This was fun. I always say, I know I'm Brickwood record, but I don't know how the time flies as much. I know we started a little bit after 8, but the fact that we're an hour in, that's awesome. Had a great time. Wish the best for you, Evan, and hopefully, we'll follow you along on X. Hopefully, we'll have more of a presence there in 2025. But definitely been following along, and I'm just excited to see which way this goes with the Rays. But like we said at the beginning, we're in agreement. Just make some decision, and we'll be happy, and we'll deal with it. We'll move on with our lives. Hopefully, it's not out of Florida. Hopefully, they're still here. I just don't want to see. All I ask for is I don't want to see 2026 to 2027. We're looking at the Rays like we did with Oakland, where there's less and less people week after week, and it's just a laughing stock. I just want to avoid that at any possible cost. So, with that said, thank you so much. We'll be live again a week from tonight at 8:00. We'll let you know what we're going to be talking about here. Just follow us on social media for that. And again, starting in January, we'll be live every Monday, trying a little bit of new thing. We'll be doing live streaming of WWE moving on to Netflix. So excited to start covering that weekly as well. But again, thank you so much, Evan, for being with us tonight. Once again, thank you, Chris Bennett, Natural Tax Solutions, for all you do. He actually got to go to that Dolphins Jets game today in Miami, overtime game. So he was happy to do that. He's actually a season ticket holder with Tampa as well. So, but thank you guys so much. And until next time, everybody, we'll see you around the ballpark. Bye, guys.
Bye now.